you, Chancellor. It's really an honor and great privilege to be part of this wonderful educational institution and also be part of you. When I was first invited by my very dear and friend for a long time, Mr. Anil Rai, I thought that it would be interesting because I would get to meet a young, energetic, vibrant set of people. Because my job for the last 17 years as CEO or MD is quite frankly a lonely one. You either report into people, which is called top management in Japan, or you work where every time you're like a performer and expected to say the right thing out the first time you listen to it. So, on the way on my right here to Greater Noida, I was thinking that when I was your age, I would think that experience comes from wisdom, and wise men never wish to be younger, because they will lose that wisdom. But I am also, very interestingly, like my own children, learning so much every day that sometimes I feel that experience is a baggage. It reduces the speed with which my learning could have ordinarily happened. And so there are multiple reasons which got me excited before I got down from the car. And then more magic happened. I saw the whole beautiful campus. It was so absorbing in terms of the space it lent and the most startling equilibrium that I witnessed in a modern day educational institution. Meeting up at the same level as good Ivy League institutions in the US, which is pure science and applied science going hand in hand. There's no shortcut here. I went to the labs, I saw some very interesting stuff. Industrial waste getting consumed by plants that have been grown, or 3D printing making a drone, or several of the great examples of industrial waste or food waste being utilized efficiently for ethanol, patents getting applied, and then the curriculum. And then I went to law school, where they said that law and technology, law and psychology, all of that, and the interplay, which is where education is going to go. I don't see a great lifetime for grades and classes. I was saying in the governing body meeting a short while ago that companies are now moving towards skill taxonomy, micro-level credit courses, which are distinguishing between resources being used at multiple levels by multiple people at the same time. It's like a stock exchange of great talent, because talent is perhaps the only thing on the balance sheet that anyone can do in these rigorous times when decision making for all leaders is so challenging, given the fact that the traditional or conventional equilibrium between continuity and change has almost been disrupted forever, and change is running away with everything. So let me start by first telling about myself a little bit and what I do. I am by training an economist and a lawyer. But my first identity was as a sportsman, where I learned to lose at the same time as I learned to wonder. For many years, I was a swimmer at the national. I had a room in the stadium. I got bored for 5 years. And I was the sports case admissionist in Institute College. Before my father said that I'm in the government, I had no business, so you must do something. And I kind of became a student at Institute College. And the other thing I learned from sports is to live and play with other people very comfortably. You're as good as your team is. And then I joined investment banking. I worked in investment banking for nearly 20 years. I set up a private equity fund with the government of Japan and several major global players, bought equity in Indian financial institutions. And I became CEO of the bank, and then chairman of the group because the bank went beyond to insurance and other regulators. But as an economist, I worked with the IMF in Washington in the economic policy unit. And then I came back because I always wanted to move back to India. And I became strategy advisor in the Department of Economic Affairs, which is a job I ran concurrently with my role in the bank. So I had a home in the Ministry of Finance and I had a job in Hong Kong. And I would be just going up and down because I looked after the Indian market from Hong Kong. I was a part of that team. But I could see India change. And in investment banking, you're like a good salesman. So I became salesman of the India story because I started working pretty much coinciding when India started to change in 1991. And so my mental construct has evolved from what it was then. And over the years, I've been witnessing that I'm just a student who's learning every day. And then I reinvented myself at 48 years of age, moving from banking business, which is about facilitating other people's business, to moving to the industry where the buck stops at you. It was a reinvention. Bank does expose you to a whole lot of different sectors. The company I joined is in multiple areas. But the fact was that I can't send a notice on anymore to anyone. I had to be part of it and solve it myself. And when I did this reinvention, it was a great learning, but I moved into technology company, where you're supposed to script out the futurology, the story of tomorrow very clearly, in front of people who are very, very smart and well read. And here was I who went into a review meeting of specialists in innovation and would just want to say, wow. So I'm evolving, and I hope this journey continues because that's the only way I know how to live now. I must keep growing. And that's the question that I would like to tell you to do too. But now I work for Hitachi, which is the largest Japanese company in India. It's 90 years old. When India got independent, the first steam locomotive of Indian Railway came from Hitachi. The turbines of my textbook folklore, after Nangal Dam, came from Hitachi. They are still working. 1956 to 2023. This year, we are refurbishing the existing ones because they were embedded in concrete and doubling up their capacity. But the mechanical engineering product is about quality and trust. And Hitachi is in three spaces: infrastructure, manufacturing, and digital. Having nearly 40 companies in India and 50,000 regular employees and 88,000 contractors, and nearly a $8.5 to $10 billion range of value that we bring to the Hitachi economy worldwide just out of India. India means India for India and India for the world, both included. But in infrastructure, our main business is rail business. We do a lot of modernization of Indian Railway. We've done the dedicated freight corridor, which is a national project. Several urban mobility solutions like the metro, the next generation of hydrogen locomotives. But the bullet train is Hitachi, which will run between Bandra Kurla complex, travel 504 kilometers in nearly 2 hours to Sabarmati, Gujarat. And it will start by the end of 26 or by the beginning of 27. So it will become a reality. And then we acquired several businesses into Hitachi companies in the last 5 years, which had a huge impact on our presence in India. The famous Swedish and Swiss company of long-standing in India, a listed company, ABB, majority of that company is now listed still called Hitachi Energy, which makes us the largest power transmission and distribution company, besides the generation business that we do. We are also the largest rail company in the world, not just because we are Japanese, but we acquired the Italian company Ansaldo, and very recently Alice, the French company. So if you do ticketing in Delhi Metro anywhere, that comes from Hitachi on a 20-year contract. But the entire signaling that you see, the train opening, the train operation, automated traffic in Noida and Greater Noida is on Hitachi system. The board on the platform that says 3 minutes or 2 minutes is also Hitachi. So there is a lot of presence, a Japanese way of maintaining a little bit lesser level of decibels because you want to grow faster and not carry the bundle of noise every time unless it's very important. And then we have these manufacturing businesses. You may have seen Tata, Hitachi, construction machinery, power electronics business, automotive, like the entire value chain of an important sector, from chassis and brake to ignition, powertrain, robotics, both for two-wheelers and four-wheelers. 88% of Maruti Suzuki's brakes in India, which is 53% of passenger cars sold in India, come from Hitachi, made in India, including the intelligent brakes, which means if the navigation system will override, you always hit and stop the car. And then we have digital business. But the two flagship parts of our digital business. One is payments business. We were in cash business. 46% of India's ATMs, which also accept deposits, come from Hitachi for any bank in India, but 29% of all ATMs. But 38% of the POS machines in India, when you swipe a card or tap a card, come from us and State Bank of India. And I'm not selling Hitachi here. I'm just trying to explain the expanse of our presence. The Prime Minister showcased our educational solution in Davos at the World Economic Forum by linking Kendriya Vidyalayas, 1206 as the total number of Kendriya Vidyalayas in India. And if you go to the National Health Authority website, we are the largest private sector company to do Ayushman Bharat IDs across the country. So this is the expanse of what I got myself into. Some businesses where money will not churn once in 3 years, and some businesses where money must churn 3 times in 1 year to make money, because making money is my job. I'm not an educationist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a rail operator, I'm not even an engineer. My job is to make money. But when I have all these kind of businesses, where expectation of people who use it is changing so rapidly. There is a new generation of expectation. The customer is wiser, the government is wiser every day. So you have to every day invest into yourself and make a better you. I mean, just look at the India story. Everybody knows fastest growing large economy in the world. The romance of young democracy playing out loud of India aspiring to be a superpower. Rightly so, not unfounded. But what is different in India in a connected world? Everywhere else in the world, 4G or Industry 4.0 happened as a precursor to unleash Society 5.0. In the Indian context, the society, thanks to Digital India, reached out in exponential proportions and entitled everybody at the user end. And industry was coexisting at 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 at the same time. So it became an attraction to invest into various Indian industries. I mean, I'll give you an example of that. India's story on Digital India, and I will come to the digital aspect to it, has been a revolution. We've taken a pole position everywhere in the world. But what about cash? Everywhere in the world, cash moved to digital. In India, the Reserve Bank of India says that on 8th of November 2016, when the Honorable Prime Minister announced demonetization, cash was 17,34,000 crores. Please see on your phone the Reserve Bank of India website and see how much cash is there in the economy. This is past 34.5 lakh crores, when digital economy has exploded. So cash has doubled. Where in the world? So this kind of thing that we are witnessing in India is very unique in terms of scalability, in terms of affordability. And what the last 10 years have taught us is that the conventional wisdom that India is a great middle class market. India is a market of huge talent, but is notorious for implementation delays. And the complexity of India emanates out of that. We don't know how to meander through it, but we do know how to meander through it. Of course, there were genuine reasons too. I mean, there's price discovery, there are life cycle costs, and variety of other things that we will talk about. But reality is that implementation's meaning has changed. Implementation's meaning has changed because we are building sometimes, some days, up to 74 kilometers of road every day. We built 34 metros, 31 of them will be operational by this December, at least for some days. Where in the world you have 34 metros? 7 of those metros make operating profits at the lowest tariff ticket price in the world in less than 3 years. Lucknow beat Delhi by 2 months. It will become the fastest OPEX model in the world. And then you do so many of the other things. You get 200 gigawatts at the world's lowest price in 4.5 years. And then come to Make in India. We started a little bit on the wrong foot because of multiple industries existing. The assistive intelligence to augmented intelligence journey, the augmented intelligence to automated intelligence journey. Everything was coexisting. We thought perhaps this will be an employment provider when manufacturing goes from 17% to 25% of the GDP. But we understood that those capacities were built for 7 billion people in 1985 by the Chinas of the world and the Koreas of the world. So this would keep rotating. So we come to India and we say, let's reinvent where we are, let's fast forward. We built Chandrayaan at a total cost when no country is landed on the south side of the moon at $73 million US, less than the cost of a Hollywood film. The global icon, people question quality of manufacturing. I come from a Japanese company where quality is my identity. But the Apple iPhone 15, the Tesla car, yesterday's announcement of Google, everything is being made in India already. It's become a reality. So the speed of change in India, the scale and affordability of change in India is absolutely unrivaled. And then you have these huge disruptions, which I like to call progressive disruptions largely, like digital, like green, like innovation. I mean, just look at digital. And Elon Musk says we are not a car company, Tesla, but we are an IoT company. And an Apple says I'm a mobility company. At the same forum in the World Economic Forum, at the start of this year. So with that speed of change, in 2014 on 15th of August, 42% of India had access to organized financial services. Today, we post nearly 100 billion transactions a year, more than 8 billion a month, and with a little bit more up on the India stack, because we have the benefits, we will go to 1 billion transactions a day. At 8 billion transactions a month, we are 61% of the world's online transactions. This is it. Our per capita data consumption was ranked 122 in 2016. Everyone was apprehensive. This will create a divide between Bharat and India. Today, rural data consumption is higher than urban data consumption, and we consume more data than China and the United States per capita. And we did 2 million COVID vaccinations in 19 months and 23 days, just based on your mobile phone. This is the revolution I'm talking about. It's blurring the lines of what was traditionally understood as B2B and what was understood as B2C. HR, finance, tech, IT, they are no more remaining as corporate functions. They are becoming business functions. You're as good on your balance sheet, as I said, this history also a while ago, as the people you have. Look at green. It's another opportunity for India to take pole position. Our biggest public policy predicament in the last 2 years is we were always followers at every global forum. People now want to know, what are you going to do? Are you going to turn right or left? And we have to prepare our mind, a new mental construct to understand, what are we going to really say to this? ONDC will do this, something else will happen. Where are we really going to go with this? Our Data Protection Act is not an emulation of what the Western world did in the name of privacy, because there's a bigger debate of data versus data and development, and data and as a development tool as much as a privacy tool. And so we started doing segregation. The Indian law says it's about data privacy and empowerment. It's bifurcating a transaction for KYC with a full QR code and a dynamic QR only to represent your transaction. If you order the pizza, it will only, if nobody can hack it, if they hack it, they will only know it's about a pizza order and extra oregano or something. Not your date of birth, not your mother's maiden name, nothing. That's already happening. But in green, there is another opportunity to take hold of this. Because the manifestations of climate change have come to haunt us so closely in the last 4 or 5 years. Everybody is universally accepting green is important. But there is a huge challenge about green, because there is no standardization, so you depend on government monies and subsidies and investors. It's not bankable. And what do you bank against? Well, where do you create the standard? There is design, there is process, there is outcome. There are transition technologies and breakthrough technologies and foundational technologies, everything moving at the same time. So what do you create standards for? To make it bankable. And people are suggesting 2% like CSR from corporate profits. People are saying that banks in India should be obliged under priority sector lending if India were to also aspire taking a pole position. But it needs a lot of reinvention because there are no champions. And that brings me to innovation. When we produced 100 unicorns last year, startlingly 69% of the unicorn owners came from tier 2 and tier 3 India, not from big acquisitions. It's the truth. But the next generation of innovation will be different from this innovation. And I say this with a sense of responsibility, not because we are large economies and our own right as institutions. But it's like saying the traditional Netflix versus Disney debate between a content maker and a distributor. The asset owners are not there. And for innovation to lend a geometric progression to the GDP of this country and take it not to 5 but to 10 trillion US dollars very soon, it has the potential. The Prime Minister wants 100 unicorns every year. The idea is that there are learnings we have made from the first generation of inventors and the second one. Israel only wants to promote the second generation one. They are so smart. But they want to limit the government's return when they invest in incubate people so that others can find it even more attractive. There are so many solutions. But for innovation, the new definition will be when the aggregator, using technology, comes and finds a sweet spot of convergence with the asset owner. The balance sheet will get used. In a connected society, everyone's aspiring, every industry is aspiring for mobility as a service, energy as a service, infrastructure as a service. There is a kind of B2B part and a B2C part. That's where we bring everything in a connected world and be smart about it. And then the biggest disruptor perhaps, Mr. Bill Gates says it's as big or bigger than the internet, which is generative AI. Because generative AI is redefining the paradigm of how we are looking. Imagine the codes for 6G have already been written. What is the code of 6G? It basically says there will be no latency of geography. From the point of speaking, there is no gap from when the action is taken. And artificial intelligence is moved to generative AI. So the architecture of how man and machine, man and man, everybody is connected, is going to change exponentially. So everyone has to start building capacity for that, right? That's the investment story in every industry. So what is generative AI? You have a hardware, you would automate solutions with library-based mathematical algorithms, calling data as the new oil, and saying this is where I'll capture it and this is how we respond. So it was more predictive and therefore leading to optimality. And now you come the full circle to something saying that it's iterative algorithm. It will capture everything even from the horizontals and bring in redefining how the machine really redefines even optimality. This is also possible. So these are the sets of challenges that all this action is coming in a very exciting way for you. Ultimately, what are we chasing? What is this redundancy of shelf life? Today I am including one technology, tomorrow someone else will be. I must recover cost and all this. What are we chasing? Every evolutionary step happening for the industry to understand, for the academia to understand. And we all be part of it very soon. And for governments to understand that they are chasing human completeness, physical, social, psychological, more complete. And if you get that right in the way you start thinking, you will find a new equilibrium between balance sheet and profit loss. You will create wealth with that right imagination in the middle and long term, as much as you take care of this quarter's business review reporting, because you are headed in that direction. Everything can't work in just consonants. And that's why you have to just do your own, you have to be your competition. You have to ask yourself every day, am I doing, have I done something? But in this whole journey, it's equally important to ask yourself the question, what previous generations didn't have to ask. In my parents' generation, you had a choice between doing things with high quality or doing things with speed. I grew up when speed and high quality were important. You are growing up into the real world where good speed and high quality must happen every single time. How will you look at yourself with that speed and not slide down every now and then with the imperfections that come on the course almost naturally? Capability and recognition will not always find a match. That's part of leadership mentoring. As much as it is to understand that difference is not difficult, but the sense of ownership and how you believe in things is so paramount that you should not just have the ability and conviction in setting a new narrative. You should be broad-shouldered. You should be able to carry people along. You should be kind and empathetic. And you should have the basic belief that ownership is not just about responsibility, but also about enjoyment. Unless you are happy, you can't make other people happy. Thank you very much for your attention, and God bless you all.